Alright, welcome back to the Shove It Show. It's Ring of the Hawk Season 5, the show where we watch back a wrestler's short run with a company, and at the end we shove them a final grade to see if they can do the JOB to the HAWK. Today is a video I made about a month ago. My schedule has been tipped upside down by other projects. I promise I'm getting onto some Patreon requests after this one. We've got Batista's Heel Run, Trish Stratus, and the Roid Dogg amongst others, so some big names will be in this series. Plus some not so big names like J&J Security. Will someone please shut that guy up? I guess I'll have to. But today it's a not so big name. Well, she was ahead of her time. I was really impressed with what I saw in this video. But then I smacked myself and thought about it. Let me know in the comments, but other than Chyna, Jacqueline and Ivory, I'm not really sure anyone else was pushing the standards as high as Holly. Does she get the respect she deserves in wrestling? You have to remind yourself that you're watching a women's match taking place at the same time as the King was shouting puppies for half the show. So when you watch this, judge this by 1998 standards. It was a different time, there's no need to rhyme. Now these first two matches we wouldn't normally include on Ring of the Hawk. As you all know, we only count matches on the main shows, but these first two kind of set the table for where this run is going. Okay, it's WCW Molly Holly, will she give the Hawk a jolly? No, that's too cringy, I'm sorry. Match 1, WCW Worldwide. Okay, she's going to Starla Sexton at this point and looking very young. She takes on low-key hottie Malia Hosaka. Starla quickly takes her down with an arm drag and we get some basic chain wrestling. Malia tries to send her overhead, which Starla botches but quickly recovers with a backslide for a 2. Hosaka clotheslines her down. The pace slows down and Hosaka hits a big kick. Starla tries a comeback but gets a shut up or a smack you one. Starla manages to dodge a crossbody and hits a side slam for a 1 count. She looks very slow at this point in her career. Now she hits a suplex and a Northern Light suplex. Then out of nowhere, Hosaka does a nice Hurricanrana pin for the 3. Not too bad, our girl was looking a bit stiff and slow in there. She was only about a year into her career at this point, so we can't be too harsh. It's a C and she was certainly trying. Match 2, WCW Worldwide. I guess it's the big rematch. Starla Sexton. That makes her fit better into the Attitude Era, I guess. It's badly needed as her attire looks like it's out of the 80s. And her opponent is Malia Hosaka again. Starla nicely slips out of a snapmare and tries to switch into a standing armbar but is shoved down. Starla gets back up and does a nice pin for a 2. Malia slows her pace down. Starla is only on her feet for a moment before she keeps getting dropped like a bad habit. First a big spin kick and secondly with a clothesline. Hosaka hits a couple of Jeff Hardy leg drops to the nutsack. Hosaka's getting too cocky in here now and it could cost her. Sexton does a flying head scissors. She desperately punches and does an awkward gut-wrench suplex. Nice move now as Hosaka slips out of a suplex and hits an inverted DDT, surprisingly just a 2. Hosaka boots her in the head once and does a Hurricanrana. Unlike the last match, the pin is just a 2. Malia climbs on top of her, but Sexton bridges up. She ends up on Malia's shoulders and does a victory roll pin, and that is the 3. I like this match. It told a story of the overconfident veteran and her arrogance cost her because the rookie sex machine was on her game. It's another C, this is a good start. After a brief hiatus where she would do a couple of job matches for the WWF, she moved up onto the main WCW roster now as a member of Team Madness and going under the name Miss Madness. She was here to train the Macho Man's girlfriend Gorgeous George and also interfere in his matches. Some of her dives were quite eye-catching. Match 3, Thunder, Brandi Alexander vs Miss Madness. Man, I can't believe we're 3 matches in and 3 gimmicks in. Miss Madness gets a really good crowd reaction, despite not really doing much. Madness takes her opponent down straight away. They both chain wrestle whilst yanking on each other's arms, nice start. Brandi Alexander is a bit like Ivory. The barefooted Madness hits an arm drag with accompanied clapping, a Japanese arm drag and a dropkick. Nice flurry of offense. Brandi dumps in her thong with anger and hides on the outside. Brandi eventually cutters Madness across the ropes. Nice hair drag now as Madness flips across the ring. She does it a second time as well. She won't need any blonde just for men at this rate. Alexander suplexes her but fails to make the pin. Instead she sends Madness running into a kick. Once again she sends her running, but this time Madness does a sunset flip for a 2. Brandi Alexander is dominating this match. She hits a short arm clothesline for a 2. She boots Madness in the gut a couple of times as the crowd are all over this girl. Brandi locks in a Boston Crab for like a second before Madness rolls her up for a 2. Brandi isn't happy about that one. She slams Madness and slowly climbs to the top rope. Madness stops her and slowly launches her across the ring. The comeback is on. A side slam gets Madness a 2. She follows that of a head scissors and a cartwheel backspring elbow. Madness dodges a dive and hits a slow bridging suplex for the 3. She looked very slow and awkward in this one, and that finisher looks bad, man. It's a D, I didn't enjoy it. Unfortunately, she doesn't last long as Miss Madness as Macho Man fires her. Match 4, Nitro. It's Little Genie versus Mona. Simply just Mona now. She is getting some really impressive crowd reactions in this video. It's still 4 gimmicks in 4 matches though. Where will it end? Genie starts with a fireman's carry slam. Mona responds with a nice snap mirror and some arm drags. They almost botch a simple Irish whip, but Mona moves on with a monkey flip which sends Genie out of the ring. Genie is scared, or just being a dick, but she eventually gets on top in the ring. She does a handstand into a hurricanrana, but Mona reverses the pin into a 2 count. Genie misses her next move in the corner and Mona bills her across the ring and then drop kicks her neck. Big back body drop for Mona now. She does the cartwheel back elbow into a bulldog. Nice to see her stringing move combinations together at this point. Suddenly, Mona does an Indian deathlock, but it's not a submission, it's a pin. That's the 3. Brandi Alexander immediately attacks her, which doesn't go well. Mona stands tall with this crowd loving her. I didn't expect to see such crowd support in this video. Another fun match, it's a C. Match 5, Thunder, Brandi Alexander versus Mona. It's weird hearing the commentary try and sexualise her, when we know in the WWE it'd be like the opposite for Molly Holly. Eventually, at least. Brandi doesn't learn from their last clash and wants the fans to have a cheer-off. Of course, Mona wins that, much to her annoyance. We start with a lock-up, with Brandi shoving her straight down. Brandi climbs on top as Mona bridges up and monkey flips her and they exchange pins. It's a nice start. Mona drop toe holds her and rubs her face into the mat. Now Mona throws her with a nice Japanese arm drag and drop kicks her out the ring. Brandi drags Mona out of the ring and clotheslines her. She also slams her on the entrance ramp. Back in the ring, Brandi hits a hair mare with authority. Loving this woman's work. Big kick now gets Brandi a 2. She keeps going with the kicks and hits a gut wrench suplex for a 2. Mona manages to dodge and does a flawless head scissors. Brandi desperately tries to stop her but gets a back suplex. Mona throws a bunch of chops and a monkey flip. She tries another monkey flip, but this one is blocked and Brandi pins her with her feet on the ropes. That's the 3. Very nice, best match so far. It's a B as far as women's wrestling from the year 99 goes. And I have to say, Brandi Alexander, very underrated chick. Match 6, Nitro, evening gown match. I was wondering when one of these Attitude Era type Divas matches would turn up. It's Mona versus Medusa. Not sure how what Medusa's wearing constitutes an evening gown. If my date turned up looking like that, I'd hit her with a brick. We start with a shove-off, which quickly tries to be a wrestling match. They're in this evening gown match hitting suplexes and top rope dives. I'm not sure who this match is trying to appeal to. It doesn't really appeal to wrestling fans or perverts. So what's the end game here? Completely against the run of play, there's a ref bump. Medusa has it won with a German suplex but no ref. She fetches a chair and smacks Mona in the back. She then gets distracted by the commentary team and gets her dress sort of yanked off by Mona. I think Mona won. I also think it's an S. Oh, no! Medusa says everybody can kiss her ass. Match 7, Thunder, mixed tag. A wild slapnuts appears.
Double J, Jeff Jarrett.
And he teams up with Mona. Well, I'm glad he's on our side for a change. They actually have a pre-match promo which was amusing as Jarrett calls Mona Miss Slappy. Our chances of winning this match just went up by at least 50%. The opponents are Evan Courageous and Medusa. Mona is left alone in the ring as Jarrett stomps about with his guitar. So Mona wrestles Courageous and holds her own for a bit as they exchange takedowns. The match is interrupted as Mike Tenay and Jeff Jarrett argue over who is the chosen one. We come back to see a hip toss and an arm drag from Mona on Medusa. Medusa rams her into the corner and tags Evan. Together they do a back body drop. Medusa sends her running again, which is reversed by Mona, and Medusa just sort of slips down on her arm. It doesn't look great. She has this armbar on as Mona screams at Slapnuts for help. He doesn't help her, but Medusa gives up on the armbar and hits a suplex instead. Medusa climbs to the top rope, where Mona takes advantage of a slam. She also makes Evan Courageous fall in his nutsack, and Mona hits a beautiful top rope Frankensteiner. Straight away, Medusa just goes behind and nails a German suplex. Evan punctuates the suplex with a twisting corkscrew splash for the 3. Wow, I can't believe Slapnuts sat this whole match out. What a dick. Jarrett climbs into the ring to berate his partner. Mona drop kicks him in the back, but Jarrett no-sells it and smashes her over the head with his guitar, leaving an ugly mark on her head. Tenay screams, "He makes me sick," and it ends. Well, it made me sick too. Look, this match wasn't very good. They half-heartedly tried to make Mona look like a plucky babyface, but she barely came close to a handicap upset. Props for taking some moves though, it's a D. Slapnuts can shove it though. Before the next match, we get another Mona interview. They're doing this thing where Mean Gene can't help but check out her Molly Hollies. More like holy molies.
Up here, Gene. I'm a lot more than TNA. Now tonight, I'm gonna take out Medusa and her boy toy because I'm gonna prove to everyone around here that a woman can compete and win in a man's world.
Match 8, number 1 contenders match for the Cruiserweight title. Triple threat, Medusa versus Evan Courageous. Evan is the Cruiserweight champion, so not quite sure how that works, but oh well, versus Mona. The girls shoo Evan away for some reason. Straight away, Medusa sweeps her legs out. Mona responds with a takedown. Medusa starts throwing kicks to the gut and one to the neck. Mona suddenly manages to dodge and hits a crossbody. She flies off the top rope with a missile dropkick. Evan climbs into the ring and removes Mona, only for Medusa to roll him up for the 3. Slapnuts appears again and smashes Medusa with the guitar. This match was an S, I'm sorry, it went 1 minute and it was a waste of time. She ain't getting over booked like this. Match 9, 3 months later, Rhonda Singh versus Mona. Unfortunately, the match doesn't start right away because the new head of the WCW Women's Division, Oklahoma, is here. He brags about his new WCW Women's Division. He complains how much heat he's got for his treatment of Medusa, so he's made her the special guest referee tonight. Singh shoves Mona down straight away a couple of times. Mona slides under her girthy legs and takes her down. Singh isn't hurt and boob bashes her down. Singh squashes Mona in the corner and slams and leg drops her. Once again, Mona gets boob bashed. Mona then surprises her with a springboard crossbody, but Medusa is too slow to count the pin. Mona tries again with a missile dropkick. This time it does get a 2 count. Then Mona tries a sunset flip, but Oklahoma tries to assist Rhonda Singh. Medusa kicks his arms away. Singh attacks Medusa and lightly sits on Mona. Oklahoma rolls in the ring and counts to 3. She didn't even drop her ass, just lightly sat on her. What a pile of horseshit, isn't it?
Ass, bitch!
Now, for some reason, at this point, despite her popularity with the crowd, most of her final matches aren't on the main show. She goes undefeated for a month, but all the matches were 2 minutes long on shows that nobody watched. It's like they wanted this women's division to fail. Let's take someone who's actually getting a reaction from the crowd and shove her off telly. Great idea. Match 10, Thunder, final match. It's just a wacky men's battle royal that for some reason the women enter halfway through. She was possibly eliminated by Medusa, or was it Chris Candido? The camera misses it, so shove it.
Bitch.
Game over. Her final WCW match came in May 2000 when she lost to a Tammy Sitch stunner. 6 months later, she would turn up on the WWF telly as part of the Holly Cousins. She was one of the few WCW wrestlers to actually be brought in through choice, and not because it was the invasion and the WWF had acquired most of the WCW roster. So I think it's telling how highly the WWF thought of her. This was a pretty good video to highlight the problems with late WCW. They half-heartedly tried to make Mona into something. The crowd were reacting, but WCW didn't take advantage. Mona was booked sporadically. They gave up on the women's division, barely trying. There was no title to fight over at this point. There weren't many good full-time WCW women for her to have a match with. Now, none of those issues are the fault of Molly Holly, so we've got to grade what we saw from her. I think she did well with the little TV time that she did have, and the crowd liked her without much effort from WCW. Her range of moves was good by 98-99 standards, and somehow she managed to avoid being cast as a typical bitchy diva. Yes, there were several bad matches in here, but I don't think any of them were really her fault. They were planned poorly. You've got to remember, she was only a year or 2 into the business as well, so we'll definitely shove her a developmental contract for Ring of the Hawk Season 5. I'm giving her a C for what I saw, and if you don't agree with that, I'll drop you to the floor.